don't have to wait until you reach financial independence to start enjoying your life. You can do that much earlier and start living a life that you love and that's true to you. Welcome to Freedom Before FI. Using FIRE and life design techniques, we help you create freedom on your way to FI instead of waiting until you're retired to do the things that light you up. I'm your host Greg, a FIRE movement and life design enthusiast. If you're itching to get freedom now, then let's do this. Hello and a very warm welcome back to the show. As you go along your FI journey, there are stop-off points or milestones to full FI where you can use the money you've saved to buy back more of your time. And that is basically the essence of the FIRE movement. So Barista FI or Barista FI is one of those milestones. And it's actually something that I've been thinking about deploying a bit later on in my journey. And it's why I wanted to touch on it today. So you may be in a place where full FI seems too far away, and maybe you really can't see yourself working in your current job for that long. Or perhaps you're longing for a job that's less stressful and may even have reduced hours, giving you more flexibility to pursue other things in your life. Barista FI is a strategy you can deploy to give you a bit more freedom much earlier on in your journey. And the cool thing is, achieving Barista FI also means you've reached semi-retirement. So let's dive into it a bit more. So you've probably heard of Barista FI. But if not, it's when you've reached an amount of your investment portfolio where you can start drawing down funds from it to help pay for living expenses. However, since you're not fully FI yet, what you are able to draw down only covers a portion of your expenses, so let's say it covers 50%. And so to bridge that gap, you can take on part-time work which covers the other 50% of your living costs, meaning you don't have to work full-time. The term Barista FI came about because the most desired part-time role for this strategy was, you guessed it, to become a barista, particularly at Starbucks, since other than it being a bit less stressful than a high-paying corporate career, it also provided decent health insurance, especially in US where healthcare is not covered by the government. So to put into context roughly where Barista FI lands on your money journey, just imagine a spectrum where from the far left, which is at the beginning of your journey, let's say you started with having zero money, the next milestone is paying off some high interest debt, the next one is building an emergency fund, maybe the next milestone is being debt-free. Then the next one might be reaching Coast FI. The next milestone would be Barista FI. Then after that, the final milestone being reaching full FI or financial independence. So Barista FI roughly lands between Coast FI and full FI. It's an alternative FIRE milestone that's a bit further along your journey. So I like to use the analogy of hiking up a mountain, where the higher up you go, the better the view becomes. Because the more you have stashed away, the more options open up for you. Alright, let's take a look at a rough example to further paint this picture. Okay, so let's say we have a friend called Patrick. And to caveat, I'm going to use rough round numbers here. So Patrick is around 30 years of age. He's single and lives in a low cost of living area in US. Now, Patrick works as a data analyst for a large company and earns $70,000 annually, which according to the National Average Wage Index is around average US salary. So he's been grinding in that field for around 7 to 8 years and kind of wants a change of scenery. So one day, Patrick researches online and reads about the FIRE movement while going down the rabbit hole of different blogs. He gets excited about FIRE and the things it can bring to his life. So one night, he crunches the numbers to see how long it will take him to get to traditional full FI. Based on his annual expenses of $40,000 a year and using the 4% rule, so 40,000 times 25 years, Patrick's retirement pot is a cool $1 million US. So Patrick has a savings rate of about 42%, and he invests his $30,000 of remaining funds every year in the stock market. And so using a 7% average return, it would take him 18 years to get to his full FI stash of $1 million. And of course, the time can be reduced if he could increase his income or save more, but let's stick with those figures for now. So after doing the calculations, Patrick is a little bit disheartened because although retiring at 48 is still considered early, Patrick really wants to downshift sooner and even try his hand at doing other things that he loves. After a few days, Patrick does some more research and stumbles across the term Barista FI. That same day, Patrick does some Barista FI calculations and realizes he can actually downshift and semi-retire in 8 years' time, instead of getting to full FI in 18 years. So running through his calculations, if Patrick's annual expenses is around 40k a year, it would take him roughly 8 to 9 years to reach an investment portfolio of 500k, which he can withdraw 20k a year from. He then figures he can find part-time work that would also pay him 20k a year. So both of those income sources combined would cover his 40k a year expenses, meaning he could actually semi-retire. Patrick could work a lower stress job at part-time, maybe as a bookkeeper, a fitness instructor, a tutor for students, a virtual assistant, and so on. He can then focus on passion projects, hobbies, or spending time with loved ones in the other part of the time that he's freed up. Now, of course, it would take him a little bit longer to get to full FI, and he'd need to find ways to invest more during that period, but at least with Barista FI, he's able to start enjoying his life much earlier. Okay, so you might be thinking, hold on, Greg, 8 years is still a bit of a long time to get to Barista FI. So I suppose the one caveat I'll make is that the figures we used are quite conservative, but Patrick can go aggressive and he could increase his savings rate by increasing his income or reducing his expenses to shorten that 8 years. And also, bear in mind, this example is from a standing start, but if Patrick already had some savings, let's say 50k, 70k or 100k, that would drastically reduce the time it would take for him to get to Barista FI. Oh, and by the way, even if he did pull the trigger and go Barista FI, it doesn't mean it's permanent. He could potentially do it for a few years and then go back to full-time work and continue investing until he reaches full FI. Alright, so that's just one example. You can use Barista FI to get more flexibility in your life sooner than later. On the next episode, I'll be comparing Barista FI to Coast FI. Oh, and by the way, if you're enjoying the show, feel free to give it a 5-star rating on your podcast app and hit follow to get more tips on life design and alternative FI strategies. Have a great rest of the week, and as always, practice gratitude, live life by your design, and do things that make you smile. You got this.